Hello, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Genshin Impact. My name is Azork, and today we're going to discuss one of the most important long-term focal points of your account, raising character level. In a traditional RPG, leveling occurs from acquiring enough experience points, and killing enemies is the primary source of that XP. In some games, quests provide the lion's share, but grinding is still viable, or at least meaningful. In Genshin, enemy experience falls off a cliff almost immediately. Although the first few characters you run around with might get to level 8 or so just from completing the 3 temple quests, you'll never get very far just fighting enemies in the overworld. The amount of experience per level increases dramatically, while the reward per enemy killed remains exactly the same. No, if you want to level your characters in Genshin, you're going to have to read some books. Wait. Books? What the heck are you listening to a YouTube series for if... Okay, that joke's not even funny. But the Adventures experience books that you've undoubtedly collected a bunch of as rewards for opening chests and completing tasks are consumable items that gift a character with experience. The biggest books, the purples, will give you 20,000 experience, the blues are 5,000, and the greens are 1k. On the character menu, one of the button prompts is for Level Up, where you can then choose to spend on a character and the game will show you the progress you'll make. Leveling is as easy as spending these books, so long as you still have any. Now, it's important to note that while you may have what seems like a whole lot of books initially, they will run out pretty quick. You will, of course, get more, but not enough to supply every character on your account. While I encourage players to experiment, I would stick to actually leveling 1 or 2 characters initially until you have a better feel for who you want to invest in. The other, and probably more important thing to note, is that you can't level your character past 20. The game will hard cap you at 20, and any experience you earn past that point is wasted. One of the other options on the character screen next to the character level will provide information on how to ascend them. Ascensions raise a character's maximum level, provide a bit of a stat boost on their own, and later they also raise the cap on character talent levels. When you reach Adventure rank 15, you'll be able to ascend your characters for the first time, raising their maximum level to 40. The first ascension will require 3 things: some elemental fragments, a local specialty, and an enemy drop. Depending on the character and how much you've been picking up along the course of your adventure, you might have all of these things, or may need to go hunt them down. You will almost assuredly not have the resources needed for future ascensions, though, so it's a good idea to keep an eye on this tab so you know what sorts of things you'll need long term. So where do they come from? Your first few small elemental fragments can be bought from Marjorie's gift shop in Mondstadt. Later you'll acquire them from fighting world bosses like the Cryo Regis Vine or the Animo Hypostasis. The local specialty will be some kind of plant or mineral native to the nation the character is from. So if you want to level a character who isn't from Mondstadt, you're going to need to do some traveling. The enemy drops will come from a specific type of enemy. If you look at the item's details, you can ask the game to open up tracking for that enemy through the Adventurer's Handbook. Again, you might need to leave Mondstadt unless you're looking for drops from Hilichurls. Even treasure hoarders, a staple everywhere else in the game, can't be found in the Land of Freedom. Ascending the character itself, though, is very easy. The Level Up button changes to Ascend, provided your character is already maxed out on experience. You're high enough level to be allowed to ascend, and you've got all the stuff. Unfortunately, this has to be done for every character individually, and that's just for the first ascension. At Adventure rank 25, you'll open up a second ascension, raising the level cap to 50. But 3 things will have changed. First, the amount of items you need will increase. Probably no surprise there. Second, the elemental fragments will have changed rarities. You may need to upgrade items in your inventory at an alchemy bench. And third, you now need 1 additional item: boss drops. You may have already been looking toward needing to kill some of the world bosses to acquire the gems, but now you need to fight a very specific boss. For launch characters, that boss will be one of the elemental theme bonuses throughout Mondstadt and Liyue. However, for later characters, that boss is usually found in other nations, and it would be a good idea to see where this boss is, especially before pulling on a 5-star you're excited for, because you might be setting yourself up for a lot of work. As an absolute worst case scenario, let's take Yai Miko for example. Yai Miko needs the item Dragon Heir's False Fin, which comes from Bathysmal Vishap herds. The Bathysmal Vishap fight is in a region known as Enkonomiya, which isn't even on the overworld. Instead, you're going to have to finish the entire Liyue Archon quest, and then a story quest focused on the Traveler, and then a quest to gain access to Inazuma, and then a quest to get off the first islands of Inazuma, and then travel to Wadatsumi Island with the Wave Rider, and then do a series of quests in Wadatsumi to unlock Enkonomiya, and then do multiple quests with Enkonomiya itself just to reach the room where this boss is located. All told, if you haven't done any of these things yet, you might literally be looking at 30 hours of questing just so you can fight a boss that enables you to raise that one character's level above 40. It's a really stupid system. Fortunately, most characters are nowhere near this bad. In fact, in most cases, you usually just have to trek across the countryside to reach the boss, hit a teleport point nearby so you can get back quickly, and then just fight them a few times. It's mostly the characters from Inazuma I would be wary of, because the developers thought they should gate off progress to future nations initially, or at least to Inazuma, because it's story appropriate. And ultimately, they did not do this to Sumeru or Fontaine. Natlin is farther away, but you can still walk there, or you'll get a free teleport waypoint once you finish Liyue's Archon quest. So while I may be making a big deal out of this, it's not a problem most players will be incredibly bothered by. It's just that for the players it does affect, it can be incredibly severe, so I need to at least make sure it's on everyone's radar. Okay, with that doomering out of the way, fighting a world boss costs 40 resin, and they will respawn very quickly, provided you leave the area and come back. So it's possible to fight them 4 or 5 times per day if you really need to grind out boss mats. And this is most of what you need to know about ascending characters, but I want to touch back on a couple things. First of all, I mentioned you may need to upgrade items to a higher tier at an alchemy bench. This is incredibly easy to do. For items that have multiple rarities, the gray tier items can be upgraded to green at a 3-to-1 ratio. You might have gotten 300 of the gray Hilichurl masks without knowing it, and now you need the green variety, which you ran out of, but there's no need to farm because you already have a ton of them without realizing it. You can further upgrade green tier items to blue, blue to purple, and purple to orange. All of these maintain the same 3-for-1 trade-off. Note that there isn't a single item in the game that exists across all of these rarities, and you won't need those top levels for quite some time. Second thing, ascending a character for the first, third, or fifth time will reward you with a free blue fate. This is not something I encourage players to perform an ascension just to acquire, because the resource trade-off isn't worth it. But it's a nice little bonus. Third, if you are completely out of experience books, you can grind for them at experience ley lines. Those are the blue ones. Yellow is for Mora. And finally, leveling weapons uses almost the exact same system, except instead of boss drops, you'll need an item farmed from fighting through a domain and spending resin. And then the experience for weapons comes from sacrificing other weapons or from an item you can craft at a blacksmith. Speaking of spending resin, the main purpose of resin is to acquire materials you'll need for improving your characters, so it'll be time to do a dedicated video on that next. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.